What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Rules for Rebels. I just recently attended my first Bitcoin meetup, and I wanted to kind of share my experience with you guys, tell you what it was about. And for any of you guys who have an interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I definitely wanted to encourage you to go check out a meetup near you. You know, it's really cool. I really enjoy talking Bitcoin and crypto with you guys here on YouTube, and I'm pretty active on like Reddit and Bitcoin Talk and some other forums and things like that as well. But it's like a totally different experience actually being around, like physically being around like-minded people, and you know, actually being able to shake somebody's hand and talk to somebody across the table about Bitcoin. So I thought it was a really cool experience. I'm definitely going to continue going to more of these, and that's kind of what I wanted to tell you guys about. So first things first, one of my kind of goals or resolutions for 2018 is to kind of get out there more and do more networking, go to more events, connect with more people. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I'm a little bit socially awkward, so like groups and meeting new people is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I said, you know, I'm gonna get out there and do more of this stuff. So I've been wanting to attend a Bitcoin meetup for quite some time. I've been in the space since like 2012, 2013, but I've never been to a conference, never been to a meetup. I saw one pop up recently that was close to me, times worked out and everything, so I said, okay, I'm gonna go check that out. So I wind up going out there. I think sometimes they hold it in a library. This particular one was held like in the clubhouse of the guy's neighborhood who ran it. This was a smaller group. Like some of these Bitcoin meetups, you're going to see there might be 150, 200 people in the group. This one, I think, had 17 members. As far as like the turnout at the event, I think there was probably a good like 12 to maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 people, something like that. We had it in this like small conference room around like kind of an executive table, and there weren't even enough chairs for everybody. So I think they had a bigger turnout than they expected. This is a newer group, and it was kind of fun to see the different skill levels of everybody, right? So there were like 1, 2, 3 people in a room who had literally just signed up for Coinbase accounts and were waiting for their first ACH transfer to clear into their account. And then you have other people who are attending like the Bitcoin conventions in Miami and San Francisco, and going to Singapore here in a couple weeks for the next one. So you really had kind of a diverse mix of, you know, different people's skill levels and how long they've been in the space and things like that. And another thing that I thought was really kind of fun to see was, you know, we all have gaps in our knowledge, right? So I've been in the space for a long time, but I have very little experience participating in ICOs. And there was another guy who, you know, maybe didn't know as much about the overall space, but like that's what he's into, and that's what he really knows about is ICOs. Like he got in on the Ripple ICO. I think last night he was participating in the, I think it's called the B ICO, which is the one that's wanting to be like a decentralized Airbnb. So it's kind of funny to see like how somebody's like really knowledgeable about a lot of stuff, but like they don't have their Google Authenticator set up or 2FA set up on their accounts. And there'd be another guy who's really knowledgeable about this, but lacks information in this area. You know, I'm pretty knowledgeable in crypto, but like Ethereum is one area that I'm not super comfortable with, and like understanding the gas charges and things like that. So it was really fun to be able to learn from some people and also be able to kind of provide value and kind of help educate some other people as well. So you know, even if you're new to Bitcoin, even if you're new to cryptocurrency, you know, don't be intimidated to go. It's a very, you know, Bitcoin people are all about bringing new people into the community and helping other people. So, you know, a great place to kind of get your questions answered. And also, regardless of your skill level, I'm sure there's some people out there who are going to have questions for you and who you can help out as well. So kind of how everything went, we all kind of introduced ourselves. The guy had a whiteboard set up at the front. He passed out, I don't think I got the paper with me, but he passed out a paper like, you know, how many Bitcoins exist, where can you buy Bitcoin, who is Satoshi Nakamoto, and then he started off the session kind of talking about like, let's talk about exchanges. And so we talked about like Coinbase, GDEX, Gemini, Bittrex, Poloniex, Kraken. And at first I was kind of like, oh, this might be a little more basic than I was looking for. Like right now there's a lot of talk about the Lightning Network, and I'm really wanting to kind of like up my knowledge of the crypto space, and especially more, I want to become more like technically knowledgeable. So I'm kind of confused by the whole Lightning Network, but I guess you can run like a Lightning node where you're processing transactions and you can earn money from that. So I was wanting to kind of learn a little bit more about that. And so at first I was like, okay, this might be a little bit more basic, but I think the guy quickly realized that most people were already using exchanges and stuff. But nonetheless, I found it very interesting to hear other, like I pretty much much use Coinbase GDAX. I do have a Gemini account set up. I haven't used it much. And then Bittrex and Binance are kind of my exchanges of preference. But it was interesting to hear from like real people sitting across the table from me who are using like Kraken or Poloniex. Like, it was interesting to hear what their experiences were like with that, as opposed to just like seeing some guy on Reddit talking about it. So even though that was a little bit more basic, it was really kind of interesting. Then we kind of launched full scale into ICOs. And a lot of these guys were very into ICOs and had a lot of experience participating in ICOs. The guy who was running the meeting just got back from some meetup in San Francisco, and he had all types of different like flyers and stuff that they were passing out from different ICOs. And that's another thing that I found to be really interesting. There were a couple people who were, although they were new to the space, they've already been to like a ton of conferences and meetups. Like the one guy's only been into crypto for like a few months, is still kind of learning, but he'd already been to the San Fran and the Miami meetups. Another guy was fairly new as well, and he's going to Singapore for one of these upcoming crypto or blockchain conventions as well. So people are really getting out there, really kind of immersing themselves in the space. And we were kind of like talking about different ICOs, and they kind of went over how to participate in ICOs, and people were kind of talking about some of the coins that they like and things like that. Then the issue of like the SEC stuff regarding ICOs came up, and there was one gentleman who he was Chinese. I had a hard time understanding. I really wish I could have understood what he was saying better, because he was very, very, very knowledgeable. I think he writes for either some magazine or some organization like about, you know, SEC rulings and how SEC is affecting crypto, and he was kind of talking about like, you know, Google my name. I've written thousands of pages about this. I've given speeches about this. And he was kind of talking about how, like, at least what he was saying was no ICO is like fully SEC compliant. Any ICO that is only taking accredited investors, and was kind of making the argument that like, hey, you know, if the SEC cracks down on this, you guys could lose all your money. And it kind of got to be kind of I don't want to say heated. It got to be kind of a lively debate for a minute. And then all of a sudden at the end, he was like, I think this guy's great for putting this on. He's very knowledgeable. You can make a ton of money off ICOs, but I'm just saying be careful. But yeah, it was really interesting kind of hearing everybody's different perspective. A lot of the guys at this meetup, even though they might be newer to crypto, they have backgrounds like you know, that's their job. They work in computer science or computer networking or whatever else. So from a technical perspective, even though some of these guys may have been newer to crypto, very, very knowledgeable about like the technology behind it as well as computers. But yeah, overall, man, I left the meeting and I was kind of like, you know, kind of had that like runner's high, kind of feeling on cloud nine. Because I kind of got outside of my comfort zone and did something that I normally wouldn't do. Another interesting thing, you know, I'm kind of bad with like small talk and stuff like that, but when you're talking with like-minded people about a topic that you're passionate about, like, you know, I was raising my hand and speaking up and participating in the meeting and stuff, which is something that I normally wouldn't do. But I just, you know, I'm so passionate about the space, I didn't even think about it. So that was kind of another cool thing about the whole experience. But yeah, I think we're going to continue to do these meetups on a regular basis. We had kind of talked about, you know, everybody can kind of investigate ICOs, research them, and then we can come together and kind of share notes. You know, there's so much stuff going on in the crypto space, it's almost impossible to keep on top of all of it yourself. So if you have like a team of, hey, sorry about that interruption, guys, sitting here at the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts, taking forever this morning. But like I said, if you have a team of people who are all researching different ICOs, and then we can all kind of come together and share notes, and this is I think by getting together in person and kind of forming like, I don't know, friendships or whatever with some of these people, it's not like when you go on Reddit to research an ICO, you don't know if the people who are talking good about it are the developers like shilling their own coin. You don't know if it's people who are heavily invested trying to drag other people into it. Like here, when you have to go back week after week and see these same people face to face, and when you kind of, you know, develop a bond or develop a friendship with them, I think it's much less likely that somebody's going to like be shilling you some garbage ICO. That doesn't mean that every ICO we talk about is going to be a good one, but at least, you know, like people aren't intentionally sending you down the wrong path to enrich themselves. Another thing I kind of found kind of interesting, the guy who runs this group, he's been in crypto for about a year. He does have a background in computer science, but he'd actually started his own hedge fund, and I guess he's managing about $200K for some friends and family members. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm trying to think like what else. Well, one other thing that I thought was kind of cool is just like hearing other real people's experiences. Like, I don't know, at the beginning we were talking about like how to use exchanges and how to set up 2FA and stuff, like I brought up an interesting point that is something that I'm facing and actually have to kind of correct myself here in the near future. But if everybody should be using two-factor authentication, right? Either Authy or Google Authenticator. Now with Google Authenticator, when you initially set it up, you're going to be given, I believe it's a 16-digit, I don't know if you want to call it a seed or a code, and that's basically going to be what's going to allow you to recover that Google Authenticator account. So if your phone crashes, if you lose your phone, or even if you get a new phone, you're going to need that seed or that code to bring that same version of Authenticator over to it. Now, me, stupidly, either I didn't write it down or I've since lost it since I set up my Authenticator, and I've seen some people on Reddit who talk about, either they lost their phone broke, their phone did a reset, for whatever reason, they basically their phone got screwed up, and now they're not able to log into any of their exchanges that they had 2FA set up on, and it winds up being a huge headache. We know how poor customer service is at most of these exchanges, so what you're going to wind up having to do is contact Coinbase, say I'm locked out of my account. They're going to make you send a picture of your passport up next to your face, all other types of documents to prove that you're you, so that they can then unlock the 2FA for you and you can reset it up. Well, we all know how slow Coinbase is to respond to stuff, so imagine if you somehow lose your 2FA and you're having to contact Coinbase. I mean, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, it could be 3 months before you hear back, and all the while you're locked out of your account, not able to trade and things like that. So that's a really important point, and that's something that right now I don't have the recovery seed for my Google Authenticator. So what's going to wind up happening, or what I'm going to have to do, is basically log into all my accounts at one time, turn off the 2FA on all of them, delete the app off my phone, reinstall the app on my phone, and then initiate 2FA and download the codes on everything. So, save the codes for everything. So that's a mistake that I made early on, and I know what I need to do to correct it. I've been hesitant to do it just because I'm like, I really don't want to lock myself out of one of these accounts. But last night at that meeting when we were talking about this, I brought up that issue, and the guy who was running it was like, oh yeah, here's all you need to do. You need, and he basically confirmed what I already knew, but I kind of wanted to hear from somebody else that I was on the right track and wasn't going to goof this up and lock myself out of all my accounts. Hey guys, sorry about that. Lost my track. I got longest wait ever at Dunkin' Donuts. They kept kind of interrupting me there, but yeah, so anyhow, it was kind of helpful hearing somebody else confirm for me that I was right on how I needed to do this, resetting my authenticator, so I wasn't so worried about locking myself out. And actually, at the end of the meeting, one of the kids who was sitting next to me came up to me and he was like, hey, he's like, I did the same thing as you. I don't have my authenticator, retrieval code or whatever. He's like, if you do that, can I take your number? And once you do that, can you let me know if it works and whatever else? So yeah, I think it's just going to be really cool to have all these resources of people to kind of reach out to, not only at the meetings, but these meetup groups also typically have a chat type thing on their meetup page. So if you have a question, maybe you want to get into staking Navcoin. If you have a question about how to do it, you have a group of, I know you could reach out to Reddit and ask people, but you have a group of local people who you can reach out to and ask. You can talk to somebody at a meeting, and I'm sure somebody would be more than happy to meet up with you and grab a coffee and help you out if you needed help with something. So yeah, overall, I was just really, I thought the experience was really cool. I thought it was really neat being around like-minded people and actually talking crypto with people face to face as opposed to typing over the internet and stuff like that. But yeah, I would definitely encourage any of you guys who have any interest whatsoever to go check out a local meetup. Don't be intimidated if you're newer to Bitcoin. Also, even if you're not a super social person, everybody was super friendly, super helpful, super welcoming. So yeah, overall, it was just a very, very cool experience. I'll be attending more in the future. I'll kind of keep you guys up to date on any cool ICOs I find out about, or really just anything else kind of interesting or cool that I learn. And again, I would encourage you guys to go check out a local Bitcoin meetup group in your area. Definitely something I want to get more into, checking out some more meetings and stuff like that, maybe attending a Bitcoin convention. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button below, and I'll check you guys out on the next video.